Welcome to Adobe Live. It's 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'm your host, Chris Blackstock, and we're here with the wonderful Ari Remoundakis. Hello.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for hosting us today.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And reminder for everybody, if you're on YouTube watching this, come on over to Behance, b.net/Adobe Live so we can hang out with you guys. You can answer questions. We can answer questions. I guess you can ask the questions and participate. I know we've got Gareth Williams, Laura Staneva, Sean Kosel. I'm probably saying these all wrong. General Kenobi, I recognize you. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Without you guys, there's no show. So again,
and you said ask questions and answer. Sometimes in the chat, we have the best answers to questions. So we need you. If you're on YouTube and you're watching us, come over because sometimes you're the best experts and you give the best advice.
And we got Wade moderating today. So that's awesome. And don't forget, we're also got brand new Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges with Sam Peterson. He's going to be hosting those this week at 9 a.m. right before the show. So check that out every weekday at 9 a.m. with Sam. So yeah, we're going to be doing, I think, lettering and fonts with you today. I know probably a lot of people know you through Adobe Live and also the Adobe Fonts live stream, but can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and show some of your work and what we're going to do today?
Yes. So I have met a lot of you through Adobe Live before. And if any of you join the Adobe Fonts live streams, thank you for joining us. I'm live with Ben almost every week now, and we're going to be live on Wednesday again. So I'll just be here every day this week, I guess. So
it's a 24/7 live stream.
Yeah. I told my friends I'm going to be live for 3 days, and they were like, for 72 hours? I'm like, no, just 2 hours a day. It's fine.
Subscription only.
So full-time, I work on the Adobe Fonts team and manage the Adobe Fonts library. And that means that I work with all of the Foundry partners, all of the type designers that provide fonts to Adobe and make sure that we get all the latest and greatest from them and that we maintain our relationships with them. So that's my main job, and through this job I have really discovered a love for typography. I've discovered that I like lettering. So during the day I just look at fonts all day and talk to type designers, and then sometimes in the evenings I'm like sketching and lettering and doing calligraphy. So that's my life basically.
Awesome.
And I know a lot of you I keep thinking that my iPad is on my computer, but it's actually not. So I'll use my finger. This is my Behance profile. You can follow me if you want to see more of what I do, but I actually update Instagram more often. So if you want to follow me there, it's at Ariadne Rem. And I wanted to show you guys today some techniques for combining fonts and lettering and showing you the differences, because we all know kind of what they both are, but I feel like you can really save time, first of all, make your designs more versatile, and also learn more about different styles of fonts if you combine them with your lettering work. So This is the topic of today.
Awesome.
And we're using a lot of people joining.
Yeah, I know. This is awesome. There's a lot of people. It's very active chat today. It's very exciting. People are up early. That's good.
Or they're in Europe or other countries. Let us know where you're from. I'm in San Francisco.
I'm out of Los Angeles.
So we're in the same time zone, but I know a lot of you must be later in your day. Maybe you're working and watching at the same time. Someone said they like the "This Year Sucked" artwork. Thank you. It was true.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
On Behance, I started a mood board the other day because I knew I was doing this stream, collecting artwork that I found that combined fonts and custom lettering together. The first one is mine. It's just an example of using a font. This is actually Zeitung by Underwear is the foundry. It's actually a foundry name. And then my own lettering is the sunshine word here on the top left. Something like this one on the bottom right, I saw, and I thought it was cool that they used, I think it's Garamond that they used for the smaller text. And then they have their own, the logo type that they created, and it's kind of interesting and weird, but it somehow goes with such a traditional typeface as well.
Right.
So I thought it was a cool combination, and just shows you like there's a lot of ways you can go. If you used a sans serif combined with this, maybe you would have a completely different look. Maybe it wouldn't go well, but you can see that they started with a sketch and then they just added the font in. So this is just a way of combining different things, and you know, you can add a lot more character to your design with lettering, but sometimes you can't do everything with lettering. It's impossible. What if you have to do a magazine cover, or like we're going to talk about today, a book cover? There's always going to be other text. You're always going to have to combine things. So
right.
This is some branding work that my friend Tommy worked on, and she showed it to me, and she said they hand lettered the logo that says Renzo's, but then they had to combine it with the text on the packaging. So they worked with both of these, you know, the font and the lettering to find something that matched. And this was, I think Filson Soft is the font, and that's available on Adobe Fonts. But just some of these examples, you can follow this mood board if you want. I think I'm going to be adding more to it because now I'm kind of interested in finding more examples. And send me examples if you can find them, and especially if you can identify the font. I also really liked this example where both are in one composition. This is by Marta Cerda, and the lettering here is super interesting and expressive. And then she used a font that's just a sans serif, bold, you know, really stands out, and somehow it works really well. So it's about
the contrast here is it's pretty intense. Like you wouldn't normally put these two together. Seems like it wouldn't be your first instinct. Really cool though, especially graphically. Yeah,
I really like this, and I was noticing that it's like not centered. And my brain would be like, I have to center everything and like use a ruler and make it, or else it's not going to be good. And I'm like, look how awesome this looks. And the way that it's all melded together is, it's just how your eye looks at it rather than having to measure things and making everything centered.
It's got that brush at the bottom that's kind of balancing how the off-centered the is at the top. And it's really beautiful.
Yeah. So we're going to try to think of ideas like this today. I'm going to jump into Fresco, and let me know if people have been saying anything interesting. I'm sure.
Yeah, we've got people coming in. We were talking about people in other countries or other places. We got people in here from Germany, India, London. So all over.
Awesome.
This is very exciting. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. So I was just saying, I kind of mentioned that we're going to be working with lettering and fonts. And I think a lot of times people use those two words interchangeably, which honestly, they are sometimes the same thing and sometimes not. So I think it's important to talk about the differences between each thing. And a lot of fonts are modeled after lettering. A lot of lettering uses fonts as the main inspiration and then builds off of it. So they are interchangeable, right. But I think the main thing to realize is that lettering fits a specific use case. So for example, there's some magazine that wants me to do custom lettering, and their whole, like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Their cover is going to have this big exclamation mark on it. And they're like, we want you to fit, you know, best artists in America in this exclamation point, something like that. So I would have to somehow fit lettering into this. And that's why it's lettering. Because if I were to try to use a font and try to fit, you know, my letters into this shape, how would I do that? I would have to spend a lot of time. Whereas if I'm just sketching it out and I'm, you know, I can start sketching it out and use letter forms that are custom for this shape. And that's what lettering is. It's custom for your specific project or for your logo or for whatever you happen to be doing. And we can find fonts that are in this style, but maybe they're not going to be easy to, it's not going to look natural. So there's tons of fonts that have this calligraphic style. I mean, I could find a bunch of them right now because, as you guys might know, we can access fonts on Fresco. So let me just look. Calligraphic. Here. I can write the same word. I can maybe do that, put it in. It's not gonna fit the shape, but maybe I can use this for my accompanying text. Maybe I can use it for something else. But this is the difference, that this I can type anything in because it's a font, and it's made to have combinations of every single letter and spacing for every single letter combination. And it's made to be in every single size and work in every application. So it's so much more versatile, but also if you're wanting to use it for a specific use case, maybe it's not going to work as well as lettering. Maybe it won't be as unique. So this is the difference, basically. And this is why you would use one over the other.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, lettering is going to be most of your custom jobs, getting in there at freehand, obviously. Do you find is working digitally, I don't know how you kind of learned how to letter. Did you do a lot of it traditionally on pen and paper with, or different types of inks, or did you kind of do digitally? What's kind
Definitely didn't start digitally. I think it also depends on, a lot of people started lettering in the last few years when there were a lot more options for lettering digitally. I started maybe 10 years ago, and you could definitely do it on the desktop, but on the iPad, it was not an option at that time.
Right.
So, especially not as intuitive as, you know, it is now. So
yeah, the tools are insane.
I definitely started with like calligraphy workshops and just using a pen and paper, or a pencil, especially a pencil and paper, which is why I really like using the pencil. So anyway, I shouldn't dwell on this because it's not really a project. It's just me with the pencil. So I can start my new project.
Let's do it.
Let's start something new.
Anthony Jackson says, hello, everyone. I always love a good lettering stream. So this one's for you, buddy.
Yeah,
we got
this is all for you. So I was thinking of a project, I've always wanted to do a book cover. So I was thinking, what if I was asked to do a new edition book cover for a classic novel? So I chose 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I was thinking that maybe the publisher is asking me to create a new purely typographic cover for this novel. So I'm just gonna type the title here. God, if I can type.
And also, this is a great way to build your portfolio or create projects for yourself. Pretend that you've been given these projects or that you've been commissioned. This work is going to be just as valuable to a recruiter or somebody hiring as if you actually did get hired to do this. I think it's just a great way to do any project, is kind of build your own guidelines for it and make it yourself. So this is cool.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. I was thinking the same thing. And also, like, if this is in your portfolio, then you have things that people can imagine being real, even if it didn't actually, you didn't get paid for it, it wasn't a real project.
Right.
It's something that people could imagine when they're looking to hire you. So I'm using for those of you that haven't used Fresco in a while, the basic shapes are now under the ruler on the bottom right. So I'm using the square shape. I'm going to make it into a rectangle, and I'm just going to use this so that I can create a few little sketches of book covers, and then we can decide which ones we like.
Sally, I can't say your last name, I'm sorry, Meritib. She's just asking, are you using a cursor or a stylus? And I'm assuming a stylus because we're on your Procreate, correct?
I'm using an Apple
I'm sorry,
pencil.
You're on your iPad. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm using an Apple Pencil in Fresco, and I don't know if I could do it without the Apple Pencil.
Right.
Okay, so I have my little book covers. So we have a lot of words here to fit into this little cover, and I like to just type it out so I can see like how long each word is and how it's gonna be organized, basically, because there's thousands of different ways you could organize these words. I'm going to start just sketching out something. So let's see what happens. I'm thinking we're gonna have a mixture of different styles of letters. Maybe this one is just like all the words are stacked.
Okay.
One, and then 100. And then let's make sure we all vote for which one we like the best.
That's a big question from RXA Art. Says, I always have an issue with lettering. I'm an illustrator, and when I'm asked to find a font for a game or a project, how do you decide which font will fit for your project? I feel like that's a pretty complex one. It's not easy.
That's what people have been wondering for centuries.
Yeah.
We actually did a stream on the Adobe Fonts channel about this maybe it was 2 weeks ago with Patrick
So it was just your
Griffin.
Previous one, right? Yeah. I think I watched some of that.
With Patrick Griffin, who's a type designer and also a graphic designer. And we were talking about how to choose fonts. It's really, like, I would say the way I do it is I kind of copy other people. Not exactly, but I look at what other projects that are similar to mine, what fonts they've used or what style of fonts they've used.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to find similar things. And the reason I do that is because a lot of fonts have historically been used for specific types of things. Like the most obvious examples would be something like black letter for newspaper headlines, or I don't know, like soft, bubbly fonts for children's books. And there's a reason why these things are used, and they definitely evoke a certain feeling for people when they're used. So I think it makes sense, like look at what other people are doing and understand why they're doing that. Like not just, oh, this is what people have used, so I'm going to do it, but why have they been doing that? Is it because historically these fonts have been used for this purpose? Is it because they look best in this setting? And once you understand that, then you can either emulate that or think of your own idea. But I think just like look at what other, was it a video game?
I was just saying for a video game or other illustration projects.
Whatever
I think as
it
a general,
is.
yeah.
If it's a video game, like look what other people have done.
Right. And that's a good rule, I think, for any creative endeavor, anything that you're practicing or trying to learn, is you watch something that already works, or you look at something that already works, and then you kind of try to reverse engineer that. Be like, why does it work? Why am I feeling this way about it? Or what, why does my eye love this? And it seems like you could apply that to almost anything. And it's always good to see who's doing it right. If you can't figure it out, you go see who's amazing at it and be like, why are they so amazing? And you start to figure it out for yourself. Yeah,
that's true.
Just watch Adobe Live. This is why you're here.
You'll find all the answers if you just keep watching Adobe Live. There'll be enough live streams.
Yeah, we're building a library, digital library, people. I guess it's a good time to remind people, if you're on YouTube watching this, hop on over to Behance, go to b.net/Adobe Live. So you guys can hang out with us here and communicate with us. We can see you in the chat. We can't see you over on YouTube. No one's moderating that. So hop over here so you guys have any questions, we can answer them.
Yes, come over and be with us.
It's better over here.
I put this on the same layer. Whoopsies.
That's okay. You gotta just cut it and paste it, right? Or there we go.
That's my biggest problem, is layers.
Layer management?
Yes.
It's everybody's problem.
I think I'm worse than most people, though.
Can we outsource that? Can we have somebody that just manages our layers while we work?
A little layer elf.
Yeah. Hey, elf guy, can you label this layer 3?
So now I'm thinking, what if the 100 is a number and it takes up a big part of the cover?
Did you lay out any of this ahead of time? Or is this kind of just off the top of your head right now? Or did you, other than the mood board, did you do anything else?
There's one of them that I thought of already.
Okay.
Not these ones though.
Okay. So this is kind of you're just free flowing right now.
Yeah, this is free flow and I'm open to any suggestions. I'm just thinking what should I emphasize? Should it be a numeral or should it be all words? How do we mix it up to make it more interesting? Because if this is just a typographic cover and there isn't any illustration, we have to let the letter forms speak and grab the attention of the reader or shopper.
Right.
So this is just an idea and then we can further refine, but this is how I would do it if someone asked me to do a book cover, which they've never done, but
Now's
you
the
never
time.
know.
Someone asked, let's see, Laura Staneva asked, is it possible to actually name your layers in Fresco?
I don't think so.
Okay. Are they always displayed in that way, or is that kind of a viewing with?
It's easy to integrate with Illustrator for sure. And you can even just, when you click to export, you can just say send to Illustrator, and then it will just show up on your desktop app, which is,
That's awesome.
Yeah, super
That's
easy.
really easy. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking right now everything has been like horizontal. Maybe we can add some like shapes for another concept, like the letters are on a path, type on a path, but in sketching.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing, right? And there's something to be said of doing things by hand, right? It's always going to kind of, if you've practiced a lot, I almost feel like you can get these ideas out a lot faster than if you're drawing the path and then putting the font, like,
Yeah.
being able to sketch these ideas out. There's a little more humanity to it as you're doing it. I like seeing it this way than just using the fonts and just using your Bezier curves. So.
Also, when you do it small, it's a lot easier to do this.
Right.
Like if I had a huge piece of paper and someone was like, do a concept, I'm like, oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So
there's also the undo
this.
button and the eraser.
Oh yeah, so much better than normal life.
Is this the 2-finger tap?
Yeah, 2 fingers to undo. So I'm thinking the 100. I just want to make sure I have a new layer. Okay, good.
And I guess Wade was saying that you actually can name your layers in Adobe Fresco.
Oh,
you go to
please
the
tell
layer
me
properties.
How.
So
is it under this menu? Oh, is it here?
Where is it? Add layer, select, copy, cut.
Or maybe it's like in the settings.
It says layer properties. It says it's under layer properties.
Obviously, we don't know everything about Fresco.
Yeah.
I'm just a Fresco user. I've used it a bunch, but I'm not, with any tool that I'm using, I'm never the first person to know things. So
it says Bliss says like the icon under the layer icon.
Oh, this is where I was before.
So Wade's like, it's right under the hide layers button, top right bar, second button.
Do you understand what that is?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out later. We'll figure it out.
Everybody's following along. They got it. Wade answered the questions. These people are they're better than us at this.
I feel like everybody else in the chat has found it except for me.
Yeah, they're like, what's the problem? No, this is cool for me because I don't use Fresco as much. I'm a big Photoshop guy. I do a lot of painting and illustration, character design. So Photoshop is usually my go-to. So this is nice. It's exciting for me too to see what you can do in Fresco. I've heard so much from a lot of my friends about how amazing this program is.
Yeah, it's really great. So I was thinking the years can be in the middle, but it should be something interesting. Maybe it should be a really bold, heavy serif. I have the grid on. I think some of you have noticed, but I'm not using it at all. Okay, I just realized, I could be if I plan this better, but I'm not. But I think it still helps me because there's a line kind of near everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, you can still use that as a guideline. You can see the parallels.
Yeah, but grids were recently introduced.
Super
in Fresco, and that was I was asking for that. because with lettering, it's really important to have guidelines. I mean, you'll see something like this. It kind of looks okay because it's a sketch, but if I were to try to have this solitude thing in a final project and the S was so much smaller than the rest of the letters, it would look insane. It would not look good. Unless it was really on purpose, like I had a shape like this and I wanted it to fit in the shape. And I was
maybe
really...
the S is lonely. In solitude, it's small and separated.
It's just a tiny S. That's the only, like, if you're really doing it intentionally, fine. But if something is just a little bit different size than everything else, it does not look good.
And you're just using, is this the default pencil tool, or is this a specific brush?
Default pencil.
Okay. It's actually got a really nice look to it.
Yeah. And if I'm like sideways,
oh man,
just like that, yeah, maybe you need to use this more.
No, this is maybe my sketching go-to here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Trained traditionally, so I love the charcoal look and the heavy 6B pencil.
I have to do this again because I am just not fitting this in here.
Running out of room.
Running out of room. Oh, look, I can stretch it. Nice. Don't do this with fonts and don't do this when you finish your lettering. But as a sketch, I think I'm allowed to do this.
Will you be looked down upon by the font community?
Not for this, but if I was using someone's font and I stretched it, that's not good, everybody.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why there's condensed fonts and extended fonts, different widths, because they need to fit in different places. And if you stretch something and make it wider or make it taller, it just loses all the proportions that are supposed to be there.
It's like my dad making a birthday card and taking a family photo and just independently stretching it to fit.
Oh yeah. Like it's okay if my son's face is stretched.
Yeah, I gained like 30 pounds.
Does he stretch his grandchildren out too? Because you have kids. Tiny people. Don't subject them.
Oh yeah.
By the way,
they grow.
I just realized that my S looks like an upside down S, so I'm just turning it around so that it looks better.
Well, now it's beautiful.
That's what you can do with digital drawing tools, which you couldn't do with a piece of paper.
So since you've been doing this for a long time, you kind of have a font library in your head already, I'm assuming. I mean, obviously with the mood board, do you kind of have go-to fonts that you kind of look to often, or is it kind of every project something different?
I have maybe a few go-tos, but since I manage our font library and I know that we're constantly adding more fonts, I always want to try everybody's font. Right. And I know that we have 20,000 in the library. So I could never possibly use every single font in my life. If I had that many projects. So I feel like I just want to try as many as possible. And that's why I don't usually use the same ones, because I know that if I like a certain style, I'm probably going to find a few more in that style.
Right.
So yes, sometimes when I'm doing something like this, I have maybe like 5 fonts in my head that could work. Mm-hmm. But I might not end up, like maybe I'll start with one of those and then I'll see like what else is similar to this and find something new. Right. Okay, so now we have our final sketch. I was thinking, this is the one that I had already thought about. So
we're saving the best for last.
Well, I don't know if it's the best. People are going to vote. I was thinking that I could do something a little more calligraphic and have it fit into a shape, because that's how I love doing script lettering, is fitting it into some sort of shape and constraining myself so that I can come up with cool letter forms. So I'm gonna do this, that nice oval. Take down that opacity a little bit in my layer properties, which I found, but I couldn't see the other thing.
Yes.
And then I'm thinking that it could be, everything could fit in here somehow. So something like this. Oh no, I don't like that.
Heidi Morrow asked, is there snapping in Fresco? Looks like there was some kind of grid snapping, or
yeah.
is
and
that...
also there's smoothing. So here I have my smoothing at 50. You can take it all the way, which is great for drawing and lettering.
Yeah, definitely. And is the grid snapping, is that under like a settings or where? Because I'm sure that one would be great to know, to be able to toggle
Wade,
on and
can
off.
you tell us?
All right.
I'm not sure.
Wade,
please.
Wade.
I feel like this, I could make it straight and then that would help me out.
Gareth says you can turn it off. We'll find it somewhere. I'm sure you can turn it off just like anything else.
Oh,
Wade's
yeah,
gonna
you can
try.
turn it off.
He's gonna give it a try. He'll be back. It's in the settings. Thank you, Bliss. You know what? Let's just, everything's in the settings. What are we doing?
We know that everything's possible. We just have to find it. And sometimes when you're in front of people, it's hard. I'm a little bit nervous.
Your brain stops working sometimes.
My brain is working at maybe like 20% right now. The other 80% is like,
right?
Oh my God, everyone's watching you. What are you doing? Has anyone designed a book cover before that's in this live stream chat?
It's a good question.
I don't like this. I'm gonna do another one. Let me know if you've designed a book cover or a magazine cover.
Barbara says she has.
Oh.
What kind of book was it, Barbara?
Yeah, how was that experience?
So interested.
Because now that I'm going to be a book cover designer, I need to know all the ins and outs of the industry.
She's putting in her 2 weeks, Adobe. Sorry. She's full-time book designer now.
Yeah, such an unlikely turn of events.
Yeah, that's happening. It's live, people. You never know what's going to happen.
I'm stretching it again.
Yeah, what do you do? You stop. Don't do this, but I'm going to do it.
No, it's fine. It's fine for this stage.
Yeah, as long as it's not a font.
It's not a font.
It's my font.
It's just
See,
a
we've
sketch.
got Fergie says, I designed a cover for James and the Giant Peach years ago.
Ooh.
Penguin used to
That's
run a
such a good book.
competition. Very cool.
Oh.
So participating in a competition, that's awesome.
Maybe I should participate in a competition.
That would be a cool book to design a cover for. I feel like there's
there's so much
you could do with
imagery.
that. Yeah.
I love that story, that book, and that
gosh.
movie. I remember watching that.
That was one of those movies where it was so unsettling, the designs and the animation, but you could not turn away. It was like horribly beautiful. I don't know how to describe that. Kind of like Nightmare Before Christmas or something. Just really, really incredible.
Yeah, I think that was one of the weirdest movies I had ever seen when I was that age.
Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you really like weird stuff. but we weren't
Oh,
exposed to that much. It was more like the Disney princesses and stuff like that. So once a book like that came out with like evil people in it and quirky
and
characters,
insects and worms appealing and have personalities, and like you really like those characters. This is not easy. It's really cool.
Okay, so here's some sketches. I will number them so we can all vote. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then you have to tell me why you liked each one.
Ooh. And real quick, while they're doing that, someone asked, is there a way to adjust the grid? Like how many?
Yeah, I know the answer to this. Yes.
Woo! We got
one. So if you go to the grid icon right here, I have, see, look, here's some snapping.
Oh, there it is.
But also I have the alignment guides on, so I can turn that on or off. And then I have grids on, I could turn that on or off. And then you can change the opacity of the grid to be more opaque. You can also change the spacing. So if you want it to be a little bigger or smaller, whoops, not 1050. You can do that. I think I would have benefited from a smaller grid in this case. Mm-hmm. So I should have done that.
You live and you learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
If my brain was operating at non-live stream capacity, I may have.
There you go. All right, you guys need to vote. I got no numbers here. What are we gonna do?
Come on, everybody.
The stream's gonna end. We have to stop if you guys don't vote.
We won't know what to do. We'll be paralyzed by indecision.
And I guess I can talk about this right now. Adobe Max is coming up, which is super exciting. October 26th through the 28th, full-on virtual event experience. So many different artists and creatives and people from all over the world going to be talking about teaching all of the Adobe suite. I believe it's open to all, no cost. If you go to max.adobe.com, you guys can go check it out, check out the schedule, see what's going to happen. I just did Lightbox Expo, which Adobe sponsored recently, which was incredible. And Adobe Max is going to be, I mean, just the amount of learning experiences that you can have in these virtual events is kind of unreal. And so I'm really excited for Adobe Max. They always bring a ton of amazing artists together. So yeah, guys, October 26th through 28th, something exciting to look forward to. All right, we're getting some votes here.
These days, everyone can attend, which is awesome.
Yeah, the fact that it's free, no cost, it's amazing. Okay, let's see here. We got some 2s, we got some 1s. I'm seeing a lot of 4s. 2, 4, 2, 2, 2.
Just adding.
Ooh, 2 and 4.
Oh, 2 and 4.
Wade.
So they like
Lightbox Expo hype. It's true, man. That was a great
event.
like
this 100. I was thinking.
I like that one too. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's see.
More visually interesting.
Durline says, I love 2 because it highlights the 100 years duration. Makes it more significant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay.
People are excited for Adobe Max. I believe it. It's going to be awesome. So I think it's up to you. I think 2 or 4. I think those are the 2 favorites. So kind of depends on what you want to do.
And your favorite was 2?
I think 2 could be really cool. I mean, just having that big 100 and see what you can do with that.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah.
Let's do it. I think my favorite is 4, but I want to challenge myself and do
okay. All right. Yeah. Let's get uncomfortable.
We're already uncomfortable. Why not get more uncomfortable?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna hide the other. I can just delete this. I'm gonna hide all of this stuff.
I got a question for you. When you're working on projects, do you always start with a mood board? do you ever kind of just hop into something, or do you always kind of like to do your research first before starting any project?
I feel like it's not always a real mood board, but it might be just me sitting at my desk and doodling something, and then it becomes a project. So in a sense, there was, but it's like on a piece of paper with a bunch of other notes on it. And then in the corner, there's like 3 sketches.
Right.
That's how it usually happens. So there's usually something, like I don't just sit in front of the computer. There's always some kind of sketch or some inspiration. So I think that's always important to start with for me.
Right.
Unless
it's kind of nice
I have
to have
a brief that's really detailed
intense.
and you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah. I think it's important to have that initial sketch phase where you're kind of a blank canvas and can do some exploring before you get influenced a little bit too much by looking up things.
I'm going to group some of these layers because now I have a million.
And how do you do that? Can you just explain that really quick?
You just drag them and they group together. So
that's pretty awesome. Super intuitive and easy.
Yeah. So
now, if you wanted to merge those together, is there a...
You can merge down. So if you look at this little menu on the bottom, it says merge down. There's a lot of options here.
Yeah.
Or you can select multiple.
Right.
But the easiest thing is dragging to group, which I do a lot. And now I'm just going to give myself some more guidelines for this. I definitely want to make sure that I have enough room on either side of this artwork for this book cover. So I'm just going to have a guide of this. Rectangle. And go back to black.
And do you ever sketch in color, or is that something where you kind of lay everything out black and white and then color is kind of a next step after that?
Yeah, I never sketch in color.
Okay. I don't either, but it's...
Yeah. How do you pick your colors?
Oh boy.
You use a lot of color because you illustrate like all these characters and nature.
I feel like it's always a different process. I mean, one, there's a mood, right? So whatever mood you're going after is that's the first kind of guideline. It's like, if it's dark and moody, you're not going to be using like, neon pink and bright orange and all these things. So I think that's one. Sometimes I have no idea and I go and we'll go to like generators. I think of ones like coolers.co, or there's some other really cool, and I'll just randomly generate things just because it'll pick colors that I normally don't choose to kind of get me, because I notice you can kind of get into habits of, you end up picking a lot of the same color color choices or combinations. So, but yeah, I think a lot of it too is you kind of feel it out as you go, right? Like what's working, what's not. But color is it's a whole beast.
I know, I'm kind of nervous about what color this is going to be. But right now, I shouldn't be this detailed. I'm just making a more workable version of this. And then I'm going to start, I think on top of this, I'll mask some of these and try different colors on them. And then I'll work with the final color and just do the final thing. But I'm adding a little more weight to the numbers, seeing like how thick, how heavy I want these numbers to be. I could also use a font for this number, so I'm gonna try that out too.
Okay. And if you guys are just tuning in, we're with Ari Remoundakis. Did I say it right? Remoundakis?
Yeah.
All right. And we're working in a Fresco right now. Later tomorrow, I believe we'll be working in Illustrator, combining lettering with fonts. So Ari's working on the 100 Years of Solitude book cover. So yeah, if you guys are just joining us, please stick around. And if you're on YouTube, come on over to Behance, b.net/Adobe Live. You guys can chat with us here and ask any questions. But yeah, this is coming out great. And this is all, we're all in rasterized, right?
Yes,
Everything's
we're using pixel brushes.
Okay.
Nothing is vector right now. Fill this just so I have an idea what this is going to look like filled.
Is any of this going to be vectorized in Illustrator, or are you going to vectorize it ahead of time in Fresco and then?
I'm not sure if we will take this project all the way to Illustrator tomorrow. I'm thinking I want to do another one.
Okay, cool.
Just so that we're not only looking at this one.
Yeah, no, totally.
But we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to copy this one. So to do that, I say copy selection under the layers. Or I can say duplicate. That's a good idea. I should do that. And then just move this over. So now I have 2 zeros. Yay.
All right.
Okay. So then I'm going to merge down on this layer so that the 100 is one number. And I just want to see, in the absence of some of this other stuff, how this is going to look. I don't know if it's going to look good the way that this 100 is, like the way that it's slanted, italicized kind of. I'm wondering if the spacing of it is a little bit of a problem because it causes it causes there to be like this triangle here and this triangle here. And then something needs to be taking up that space.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm having doubts. But
Are we going back to 4?
No. No, I will not go back.
We're gonna do 2.
I think that I want to see if I use a font.
If that can maybe correct that.
That's upright. I just want to see what options there are of fonts.
Well, and you had talked about as well using a font and using that as a basis to kind of customize it, right?
Yeah, so that's another way of doing custom lettering, is starting out with a font. I'm gonna hide or make this a little lower opacity. Obviously, this is not the right font for what we're doing. Whoops, that's not what I want. But we're gonna look for alternatives. So this is the type menu. So I clicked on the T on the left hand side. And then I'm going to look through the options. So you can see that it shows me the recent fonts I've used. It shows me the fonts that I have installed. And then if you click on more fonts, oh, look at this. It's
the Annabelle, yeah.
If you click on more fonts, then you have all of these tags that you can sort through. So these tags are curated by the Adobe Fonts team based on the feeling or the characteristics that are evoked in a font and what they remind us of. So some of these are a little abstract. Some of them, like friendly, I mean, you can't say a font is friendly because of XYZ reasons. It's more of the feeling that it gives you. Some characteristics can be friendly. For example, something that's more rounded, has more open counters, counters are like the white space inside the zero or in any letter. So there are some things that could make something friendly, but a lot of times it's just how you feel when you see it or what it's been used for. Like I talked about earlier, when you're trying to find the right font for a project, a lot of times you should just look at what other people have used and think about why they use that. And a lot of times it's just because it's been used for friendly packaging for years. So we're just going to say it's a friendly font. So for this, I can look at some of these fonts, this inline tag, something like this. That's pretty eye-catching, maybe would work. It's not as condensed. So if I were to make it as tall as the lettering that I did, it's going to be way too wide. But maybe it's a good idea. We can think of something like that instead of what I did. Something like this. Something like this. Similar style to what I had.
Now, are you going to find a font that is going to be, I guess there you go. I was like, that's going to be that condensed and that tall, because that, most aren't.
No, my layer is too large.
Limitations.
It's okay. It doesn't need to be that big. But we can also, it's going to be a tiny book.
Baby book.
We can also convert this to pixels also, and then work with it, customize it, or just use it as our basic idea point. But just wanted to see what's out there. The luxury tag. So what we've termed as luxury are fonts that can be used for like high fashion magazines or fancy invitations, that kind of thing. And one of the things that characterizes these is the high contrast, which means that stop saying it's too large, between the thin parts of the letter forms and the thick parts, there's a huge difference. And that's what we call high contrast. So you can imagine like the Vogue logo or some other high fashion magazine logos. They usually use fonts like this. And for some reason, this is very often used for luxury brands and fashion. This font is called Swear. This is a cool one too. So you can see that the contrast axis is different. So the thinnest part of the form is not top and bottom. It's like at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock, or I don't know exactly what time, but it's at an angle. It's added on a bias. So this gives it a little bit of interest, which is cool.
Carla had a question that's good. It says, how much of the story of the book is influencing the feel look of this cover and the lettering? She's not familiar with the book. So
yeah. So this book is a real classic of modern literature. It's from the 60s. And it's by a Colombian author. I would say that since, let's say the fake brief that I got is to make it purely typographic, the main thing is to emphasize which words of the title are the most important. So in this case, it follows a family for 100 years. And I think that's just a really important part of the story and therefore should grab you in the cover. But I like her question because even if your cover is super simple and it's just like one color with a little title on it, you should definitely be influenced by the book. Like, what color are you going to choose? What font are you going to choose?
Right.
That should all be influenced. And I think the colors will be influenced by the book because there's a lot of themes of nature and magic in the book. So I was thinking like green, a lot of darker greens to evoke that nature aspect. But yeah, that's as far as I had thought about that so far. Okay, so I mean,
it's a book on a shelf too, so you want it to be attention grabbing. I mean, you want it to tie in, but you also want this to be something where somebody sees it and it's like, oh, wants to pick it up and look at it.
Yeah, definitely. So something like this could be cool. I'm thinking this is making me want to make the 100 that I did heavier because it's going to be more attention grabbing on the book. So I'm just going to hide this. It helped me for my inspiration. And I'm going to make this full opacity and try to make this a little bit heavier and not as long and skinny. Those are very technical terms. Yes.
Long and skinny.
No.
And are you gonna aim for more of the high contrast look, or more it's gonna be a little more bold?
I think we will maintain the high contrast, but we will make it bold. So you can do both. And one of the things that I learned when I was studying type design was a lot of times people want to make letter forms or numbers. Numbers are lettering too. Numbers are part of fonts, numbers are part of lettering, and they have their own traditions of how they're drawn. So even though I'm drawing numbers, just keep in mind like the same rules apply. A lot of times people want to make their forms bolder and they just make it bolder everywhere. And they're like, oh, look, it worked. But they lose all the contrast. And one of my teachers told me, when you're making a letter form bolder, you're not just dipping it in chocolate. You are strategically adding the weight. And I was like, oh. And now sometimes I see things and I'm like, oh, that's dipped in chocolate.
Totally. Just it's thicker all around. And yeah, that's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
Hi, Mervin. How's it going? He says hi.
Hey, Mervin. Who else is joining?
Let's see what we got. So Carla Rossi, Ferry Utomo. I feel like I see you all the time as well.
Hey, Ferry. Yeah, I've seen you a lot.
Ahmed.
My phone just thought I was talking to Siri.
Hey, Siri. So dangerous. You got to turn that off when you do these. Yeah, gosh. Norshko. I think I'm saying that right. Bliss, parentheses, Golden Rose, is with us. She says hey.
Hi, Golden Rose. I've seen this person as Golden Rose before.
Yes.
So did they change? Maybe they have a new screen.
They just want to, they want to let you know they were Golden Rose and now they are Bliss.
It's like formerly known as
Golden Rose.
They're a celebrity. They need to show.
Carmen says hi from, I believe, Minnesota. MN, is that right? Minnesota?
Yeah, that should be Minnesota.
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, everyone.
This needs to be heavier, but I'm going to do that later because this isn't the final thing. So yeah. I always spend too much time. It
already looks better, though, with the heavier strokes.
Yeah. I always spend too much time on this phase, like the ideation phase. And I always want things to look perfect. And then I end up doing things many times over instead of just doing a rough sketch. So I'm looking at where to put the years part. And see, it is snapping to the grid here.
There you go. And with the grid, you're going to have, since you made it a higher number grid, that snap it's actually helping.
Yes, it's helping me this time. And the box that I'm using is going to be the X height of my letters. So I'll show you what that means.
Is this a text box or is this just another?
No, it's just a shape.
Okay.
To help me. So I'm going to do this. And then this is my X height, which means the reason we use the word X height is because it's the height of the X. So for example, you have an alphabet, and this is the height of the X.
Very cool. I did not know that.
Yeah. So I'm going to use this box to guide me when I write the word years. And as you can see, the box is just going to be that height. It doesn't encompass the parts of the letters that stray from there, like the top of the R or the bottom of the Y.
Right.
Now I have to make this a little wider.
Anthony asks, how did you first get into lettering? What kind of brought you into this world?
So Adobe, my employer, actually got me into this. I started at Adobe 9 years ago. And at the time, I did not have any experience with design or lettering or typography. I started as an executive assistant. So it was more of working in the office, on the business side. And one of the things that I helped with was to facilitate some workshops that Adobe sponsored for, I think the first one was a calligraphy workshop. And just started, I had to sit in on it because we were sponsoring it. Well, I think at the time I was excited to sit in on it, but I didn't really know why. I was like, oh, maybe this would be interesting. And then they were like, here, you can take the workshop too, and handed me some materials. And then from then on, I was hooked. So it started just by working at Adobe and starting to meet people and going to things like Adobe Max, where there were speakers, and just learning more about this whole world. So I took a lot of workshops on my own too. The S is the hardest.
And now you're using that grid, which is nice.
I know, but then I'm not using it exactly. I'm like, something in my brain is
messing
like,
me up.
Don't use the grid exactly. I'm gonna see.
Make it your own, Ari. Don't let the computer dictate it.
This word is definitely not gonna fit. We'll see.
You'll just manipulate it and squeeze it.
I feel like we might use a font for this in the end.
Yeah. And this is probably a great space to use a font because it is like a straight across. It can contrast with the handwritten, the 100 and the years.
Yeah. Oh, it did fit.
Oh.
Okay, so, and then at the top, I just wanted to make sure we have space for the author's name, because I think my client is going to want that to be on here.
Really? Savant says hi from India.
Hey,
and
Savant.
We also got, I think, Dennis from Hungary.
Hello.
Welcome. And just a reminder, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, hop on over to Behance at b.net/Adobe Live. Here you can talk to us and we can hang out in the chat. On YouTube, we are not there. You can still watch it, but you can't communicate with us. So come on over to Behance. You guys can ask your questions and hang out with us here.
Yes. Okay, so we'll have the author's name at the top. I think that works. So this is really light and very boring. So now we have to add color and depth and weight to the forms. Okay, so I'm gonna group.
This is our skeleton. This is our
we don't need this
foundation that we're building on now.
Yes. We're going to work from this foundation. I'm gonna group, not merge. And then I don't need this anymore. Delete. I'm going to add a background color.
Okay.
So I was thinking, like I said before, this book is about a family that lives in this isolated community among nature. So I want the cover to be green, just to evoke that natural world.
Right.
And I have to find the right green. So I'm thinking like you know how everyone's painting their kitchen cabinets these days, like a forest green or a sage green?
Yeah. Is that the color we're aiming for?
No, yes. Not because of kitchen cabinets, but I'm just thinking of like a more muted green.
Norse Coast just said, I pronounce Behance same as I pronounce Beyonce. So Beyonce?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Welcome to Behance Live. Join us, won't you?
Behance. I love it like that.
It's like Target.
Or Triscuit. Have you seen those commercials?
Triscuit.
Or Triscuit. Triscuit crackers.
That's pretty funny. Oh yes, Triscuit. I think the
sorry.
LaCroix has always been the fun one. I feel like there's 10 different pronunciations for that
yeah.
one.
Everyone has their own pronunciation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a good green for my cover. Yeah. And then
it's gonna look great in the kitchen, obviously.
You have to read in the kitchen when you're getting ready for work in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, not while you're getting ready, but while you're having your coffee. Okay, so I'm going to start with doing another. I always have to hide and show my layers to know what they are because I don't remember. And
you're not
I don't trust my eyes.
Got to layer. You got to name them. We got to learn it right now.
I don't know how to name them, Chris.
So funny because everybody was like, "It's easy. You just tap on it and start typing." It's like, okay.
Oh God. Okay. So I'm going to use a vector brush this time, and I'm going to use like a mustard yellow for the 100. I just love yellow. I'm wearing yellow. I have to incorporate it to everything.
That's a great color.
Thank you. Oh, I
my
didn't invent
wife,
yellow. I shouldn't say thank you.
my wife's a jewelry maker, and she has
really?
very many beautiful shades of like mustard muted yellows.
Ooh. Awesome. My hobby is making jewelry. We didn't talk about this earlier.
Awesome. Yeah, she was just at a West Coast Craft Fair at Fort Mason in San Francisco this past weekend.
I was there yesterday.
Oh, really? Yeah, she has little pieces of jewelry.
Just as a buyer, not a
She was there. I think she was near the food. I don't know. I had to stay home. I had to watch my other kid at home, so I couldn't go with her.
That's
I was
awesome.
stuck here. Yeah, she said she had a great time.
It's a really great fair.
Oh, yeah.
Let us know, anyone in the chat who's been to West Coast Craft. It was in San Francisco yesterday.
Yeah, at Fort Mason, which is just such a awesome space and venue. So many cool things.
It's a really cool space.
SFAI fundraiser show there, I think, that this weekend. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. I don't live up there, but I still have all my friends up there. Lived in the Bay for over a decade. Love it up there. Try to get up there as often as possible.
Yeah, it's a fun place.
And it's nice and cool compared to LA.
Always cool. Always need a light jacket.
Yeah,
so I just
love
added this little detail to the bottom of the one to give it more interest. I'm going to make it more pronounced, I think, because I like it.
And we're using a vector. Is this
this is the
specific type?
Basic round. So
Perfect.
I'm really basic only when it comes to brushes.
Good to yeah.
I'm really basic with my brushes. I just really like the standard pencil and the basic round vector brush. With my pixel brushes, I do have some favorites that I use, but I haven't really ventured out much further from some of these favorite brushes and these default ones.
I mean, I feel like that goes for a lot of things. The type of brush you use, just using a fancy brush isn't going to make your work better. So it's you kind of find what works for you, and sometimes the simpler brushes you can kind of get the most out of them, you know.
Yeah.
So we're working in, this is a vector brush right now.
Yeah, we're working with the basic round vector brush.
And you were easily just erasing it just as if it was pixelated.
Oh yeah.
That's so cool. Showing you how much I've used these. I'm learning a lot right now.
Yeah, you erase it super easily and you can smooth your eraser. Your eraser can also be any of these brushes as well. These are all vector erasers. So it's very versatile.
Oh boy, getting flashbacks of using a mouse in Illustrator and just everything with the Bezier curve. Just being like, I can't draw this way.
Okay,
this is
we
awesome.
Did our one.
Yeah. Yes, Heidi, my water bottle is book cover green. Buy it at the store today.
Whoa!
Goes well in my kitchen.
I'm telling you, everyone loves this green now.
So it's a nice green. And if you guys are just joining us, we're with Ariadne Remoundakis, and we are making a book cover for 100 Years of Solitude in Fresco, learning how to combine lettering with Adobe fonts. Yes. So welcome.
Chris, you are like the only person that has chosen to say my last name more than once.
I
and
gotta
you say
repeat
it perfectly now.
Good. That's good. I know.
Usually people are afraid.
Remoundakis.
You're a very brave soul.
Yes. I want to feel smart.
I wonder if I use a shape, if this is going to work.
And it's a Greek last name, correct? Is that?
Yes.
Very cool. Do you have family in Greece or?
Yes, I have a lot of family in Greece, and I actually used to live there as a teenager.
So unlucky of you. Must have been horrible.
I suffered.
Yeah. All those beautiful coastlines and wonderful water,
I'm using this
beaches.
shape as a guide for myself.
Okay, awesome.
The problem with using this shape is that the final shape should not be as eggy, if you get what I mean. Like so conical at the end, it should be more square. But as I add weight, I'm going to fix that.
Is that shape also vector, or is that what we were using earlier as the pixelated?
So it was the shape is just a guide, and then you can use whatever kind of brush you want to outline it. So I use the vector brush to outline it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a great
And then
tool.
I'm just going to make my zeros a little more square at the ends.
Carla had a question. When choosing colors for a book cover to print, do you work in a CMYK color space, or does it depend on the publishers?
Who was it that had designed a book cover before in the chat?
Yeah, I've done things for print, and surprisingly, you don't always have to do things in CMYK. A lot of systems have changed, and actually, a lot of people prefer the RGB color space.
Oh, really?
That they'll adjust. But I remember early on when I used to do music posters for Skrillex and a lot of other electronic artists, and you would do it in CMYK and stuff. But I know it's changed a lot now. You can do things in RGB as well. But I'm sure somebody has a better answer than that. I don't do print that often.
That's a good answer. I mean, the technology, everything's changing so often that there's a lot of things that people learn in design school. It's like, never do this, never do that. And then when you actually have to send something to a publisher or get work done, you find out like, actually things have changed. Things aren't so black and white. Depends who you work with.
I'm working on a graphic novel right now, and we were doing test prints, and the company that we were working with, they wanted everything in RGB, which was surprising to me because and our colorist who we have, who's been doing it for 20 years with DC and Dark Horse and all these guys, he gives us everything in CMYK. So I'm like, I'm like converting everything. Like I can't send anything to anybody because all the color profiles always get messed up. So it is a lot of things are definitely being printed with RGB nowadays, or at least being viewed that way.
I'm gonna move this over because it needs more weight on the left. God, I just realized how much time has passed.
Yeah, holy cow.
We have about half an hour.
Yeah. You got a timer on, right? You're gonna wrap up the show. This will be great.
I'm used to hosting, so I'm always like, we only have this much time. And then the guest is always like, oh yeah, we have that much time. It's fine. And I'm like, you have no idea. This is gonna end really soon.
Oh my gosh, I know. I feel like when I was first on, when I did it back, the first time I did it was in 2019. So it was before everything that you guys, the Adobe still brought you into the studio.
Yeah.
But I remember we had 3 days too. And I think it was like 2-hour streams, 3 days in a row or whatever it was. And that didn't feel like enough time. Still scrambling at the end. Like, oh my gosh.
I know.
Hopefully we'll get back to doing some of those. That was so much fun being in a studio with everybody. And I feel like that energy is similar, but just kind of, I don't know, being there in person is really fun.
Being in person is super fun. The great thing about the fact that we can do this from home is that so many more people can participate, just like Adobe Max. So many more people can watch and also speak at the conference, and they're not constrained by travel and everything. But being in person is really fun.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The amount of international artists that get to participate is really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to do the years. I'm going to do it. So I want one color. Can I get a vote in the audience, please? One color for the name of the author, the word years, and the words of solitude. I'm thinking.
All right, everybody hear that?
Yeah, let me know what you think.
We need some colors,
we have our
people.
green, we have our mustard yellow.
We
What
want
do you
Pantone. Pantone hex numbers. What can you give us?
No hex number because I won't know what it is.
And since we're talking about virtual experiences, might as well plug Adobe Max again. October 26th through 28th. Should be really awesome. So many creatives. Go check it out at max.adobe.com. Pretty sure Wade put it up there in the chat, but should be super cool. And also, if you guys are on YouTube, hop on over to Behance. We're at b.net/Adobe Live, so you guys can contribute in the chat and we can talk. But yeah, YouTube's great, but come on over to Behance where we can interact and hang out. And Ari, you're right. We got about, was it 25 minutes of work time and then wrapping it up. So you got to go faster. This isn't fast enough. Lightning speed. What do you color? Oh, someone suggests we got colors coming in.
Okay.
Someone suggested rust.
I just did that.
Perfect.
Who was it?
Bliss. Pauline Rewa.
Pauline, I think we're kindred souls.
Mallory suggests of solitude in navy.
Ooh. That's
Bliss
a good idea too.
Is just saying make it pop. So whatever you do.
Bliss is being the hovering art director.
Yeah.
Use a different blue.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you specific instructions, but you need to make it pop.
Yeah. I had already started thinking about, this is more of a brown than rust.
That could be rusty.
It's like rust that's been sitting there for a long time.
Yeah, powdery rust.
But I was thinking, just because of the nature theme, using colors that are found in nature would work. So wood
color. That's general.
Work for my project.
Someone suggested the author's name in a tan.
Oh.
Could work. Might get lost. I don't know. That could work.
We'll see. I can also mask things after I do them so we can try out different colors.
It's a great idea.
So this brush, it changes weight as you exert pressure with the Apple Pencil, and you can always change these pressure dynamics
that's cool.
in this dialog. So right now I'm just testing out the pressure. If I change it, it's different.
That's
and you
cool.
can
It gives you
also
a live preview.
Yeah, you can also really fine tune. You can have your test area and then see what it's gonna look like, stuff like that. So I recommend testing that stuff out. I feel like I'm pretty good with my pressure dynamics right now. My end taper, oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, that's very cool.
So if
these are all the things I want.
Yeah, I
End
kind of
taper
like
speech.
it ending without tapering too much. So I'm going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to do this again. So yeah, definitely fine tune that for yourselves when you're working in Fresco.
Do they have in Fresco, do they have like lettering brushes or things that maybe imitate like a fountain pen or other types of markers? Or
There is, I think there's one actually called fountain pen.
Okay.
So if you go, I I don't know in the vector ones, but definitely in Pixel, there's a lettering pack.
Okay.
And then there's also an ink one that has fountain pen in it. So
yeah, what kind of someone had asked, Laura had asked if they're going to add any more vector brushes in Fresco. Are there people, is there third-party packs that are coming out for this? Is it all just Adobe that's doing the packs, or what are your options as far as getting more brushes beyond the
you
default?
can definitely buy brushes and install them on Fresco from other creators.
Awesome.
And then the ones that are included are, a lot of them are Kyle Webster's brushes.
Right.
That he developed, and then they just became part of Fresco, which is a huge win.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were all excited when Kyle joined Adobe and we got all those awesome brush technology from him. I'm going to hide that. So I feel like my ears needs to pop a little more. First of all, I'm gonna bring this here. I'm going to make it a little bit heavier.
Are you gonna dip it in chocolate?
No, I'm only strategically gonna add the weight, just like my teachers taught me. Add some weight here, and we have that space because the connecting strokes were quite long.
Mm-hmm.
So that gave me the leeway to be able to add more weight here.
Right.
And then here.
People really want you to add more red to that brown. Make it rustier.
Okay, we'll try that. We'll try
Crimson
it later.
red? Carla says crimson red? It's a question.
Is she saying it like that? Crimson red?
Yeah, crimson red, maybe?
Okay, so I'm going to start using fonts. Oh, now I'm trying to send it for comments. No, don't want to do that yet. I'm going to, whoa.
Hello.
It's because I have this all rotated in a weird way.
Right.
Okay. So we still have square display. This actually might be a great font for the text, but I don't think I want it to be italicized. Also, I'm sorry that the grid is so opaque. I'm going to take down the opacity of the grid because it's really cramping my style.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right about the people who are saying add more red. It's a little bit too brown now that I'm looking at it, but we'll see. Okay. So I'm going to look at some other options for the font. I don't want,
So are you going to look at the presets first to kind of, or is it just going to go by the tags, or how do you kind of start searching?
So, okay. So these are all the fonts I have installed and I have activated from Adobe Fonts.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're in any grouping of style.
Right.
But I could find something that I've used before that I liked. Right now, I'm not sure that any of these would work. Not sure. Not exciting enough. Too bold. Too boring for this. Too blocky. So that's kind of, ooh, this one's good. Belly Display, one of my favorites from Type Together by Roxanne Gateau, I think is how her name is pronounced. This is just an awesome typeface. I feel like it might work.
High contrast.
Yes. And also you can see the contrast is on a bias for the O the O is like on its side, which adds a lot of interest.
Yeah, really cool.
I'm gonna duplicate this and then do the of, and then move this here, and then hide this. Okay.
Ooh.
Let me move this.
Robert wants you to make it magenta. I don't know. Well, you know, I'll throw some colors out there, see what works,
See what sticks.
Yeah.
Let's see if I make this magenta, what's gonna happen?
It's 100 years of partying. Family,
I feel
knew how
like
to have
if
a
I
good time.
made it this really darker magenta-ish, that could work. But still, not really.
For me, I really do like the trying to keep, I mean, not that that isn't a color in nature, but I do like the
Everything's
more
a color of nature.
earth tones. Even the blackest black. What are they? Just developed the
never
whitest
use
white.
black. Oh, they did?
I just saw an article and they're like, we don't need air conditioning. We just developed the whitest white and we're going to paint everything that. I'm like, please don't.
What?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with air conditioning?
Probably talking about reflecting heat and light off of buildings and trying to keep them cool. I just read the headline. I didn't actually read the news article. made a fancy guess at what it meant.
Okay.
Let's see. Colleen says the magenta turned it into a self-help book.
100 ways to fix your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to talk about this font in combination with the lettering. I feel like the weight of the font is kind of complementary. It's not like we saw one of those fonts when we were testing out that was really overpowering. It's not overpowering. It's got the contrast that kind of goes with the 100. It's got some interesting features. Besides being, it's a serif. It's, you know, easy to read, a little bit smaller, but this is kind of the smallest you can take it. I mean, honestly, I would probably look for Belly also has just the regular and bold that are text faces instead of display. So actually, I think maybe I would use that for the author's name. It's a little more readable at smaller sizes. But I think it adds interest while complementing the rest of the artwork. And speaking of the rest of the artwork, now that I'm looking at it, I think that the 100 needs a lot more space between
the
I should have made each of these a different layer.
Tisk. Didn't you? I'm pretty sure at one point you merged them together. Maybe you didn't. Maybe that was when you were sketching it out.
Knowing me, I probably just love merging everything for no reason. But now I'm just really bothered by this brown color, and I feel like it needs to be more, or maybe it's the yellow that needs to be more mustard yellow and not so
bright.
Okay. So this year's layer, I'm going to mask the contents.
Oh,
Layer mask created.
I like that color.
So this is my final
Intense.
piece.
Yeah, all right. We're getting somewhere now.
No. And I'm going to see if I take it a little more. Red. I don't know. You can see my indecisiveness coming through. This is the real problem. Oh, that's way too red, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. It's like, gotta be careful.
Maybe it
We're
has
not
to
like
be darker.
not crossing over into like McDonald's colors. You want to get like, you know, like you start to get to like the food, like, ooh, 100
like...
years of solitude, yummy. Yeah, I actually like it darker.
Yeah, I think the darker.
Yes. I think you're solving it right now.
One.
Yes.
Because it needs to also really stand out.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the entrance stroke of the R and the S are a little bit, no, not a pixel brush. Oh, I can't edit it with a vector brush once I've masked it.
While in the mask.
While in the mask. Well, that's okay. It's just a small detail.
You don't have to be perfect, okay?
I want to be perfect.
Okay to have flaws. You know, this isn't,
no,
you're not a computer.
No flaws. Whoa, that was a big flaw. If I were, you know, this is not going to be the final thing. If I were to hand this off and this would be final, I would go into Illustrator and refine it a little bit. This is really to give me my initial idea and to get everything laid out, the colors and everything. And then I would go in and make more refinements. But I also think we could use, if I duplicate this layer and then mask and then make it a little bit of a darker rusty yellow. We can see what it's going to start looking like if we had a shadow layer.
There we go.
Oh, even like that, it's kind of cool.
I was gonna say, do you ever like
looks
using
like gold
texture? Yeah, kind of like texture within the letters.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. Adds a little more interest.
Yeah. So if we took this into Illustrator, we could work on that a little more, get the shadow to look a little bit better. Now we're having an issue of the word years not showing up as well, but that's something we would have to just like workshop a little bit. Yeah, maybe years now needs a shadow, and then everything's gonna start needing a shadow. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Gotta figure it out. So are we going to continue on with this for tomorrow, or what's the plan?
Why don't we say, let's put a pin in this.
All right, we're pinning it.
And thank you everyone for going on this journey of fonts and lettering with me. And let's see a new thing that we might work on tomorrow. I may work on this a little more and show you tomorrow if I figure out like the colors and everything, because I'm still thinking a little tweaking is needed. But let me show you what I'm thinking about for tomorrow. So
we got about 10 minutes total, about 5 minutes until we got to start wrapping it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's
so
11:15. So.
I showed you earlier the basic shapes are down here under the ruler. So what this shapes icon is now is a little more interesting shapes. So I actually created some of these for Fresco. And you can access all the shapes I created by going to the typographic library. And the way you can get to these other libraries is by clicking the plus sign, discovering new shapes, and they're developing these libraries now. So you can follow typographic and then get all those here. And there's a couple little composition shapes that you can use to guide you in your lettering. There's little banners, little flourishes that I created, and I just wanted to show you how to use those. So we have this shape here. It's a little composition, and I'm just going to fill it. And then bring that opacity down as my guide, add a new layer, and then start lettering. So this, there's a few different phrases you could use. I'm sure someone in the chat can think of something. The reason it's laid out this way, the reason why this is taller or kind of the same as this, these two, the top and bottom, are meant for uppercase, and this is meant for a script word. So like, we can do virtually anything, and like virtually is, let me just delete this. Delete. Virtually,
we don't have enough time to get it together.
And then the rest is uppercase. So I'm going to use, I like the word literally because I use it too much. So we're just going to do a little phrase. This is dedicated to everyone in the chat. You are literally the best.
Aw.
So there's a little issue here with the L's, but we'll figure it out.
Literally.
We'll figure it out. Maybe the UR doesn't have to be that big. But this is kind of, it's a fun guideline, and you can use it to frame your idea. I think my best lettering is done when I have a shape that I'm working with.
Right.
Let me see. So if and then tomorrow we can take this into Illustrator and vectorize. I'm thinking the UR and the best can be fonts, and we can find a font for that. And then the literally can be vectorized hand lettering based on what we do in Fresco. Nice. So that's a preview of tomorrow.
And we got about 5 minutes.
All right.
Just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. This was so much fun today. I learned a lot because I do not know that much about lettering. So this was really awesome for me.
I'm glad.
Hope everybody else had a great time. Yeah, I mean, this is really cool. Fresco is a pretty awesome program. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's something that's going to integrate really well into Illustrator, InDesign. whatever you're using to do layout. It seems like it has a good blend between kind of like a Photoshop Illustrator like combo here.
It's great for just intuitively drawing things out and getting them to a stage that's, especially because you're on your iPad, you can be anywhere and you can do some work, get something to, I mean, really, you can get things to a final stage or close to final. And then when you have time to refine on your desktop and create like your deliverables, you have the flexibility of doing that.
Man, people are suggesting that you should do some lettering for one of my illustrations and that we could do a whole stream on that.
Yes.
That is not a bad idea. That would be very cool. I would love
to collaborate with you. I love your illustrations. That would be very cool.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've done that once on a live stream where we were working on an illustration. This is a long time ago, I guess like 4 years ago, with Anna Davis Court.
Oh yeah, I just did a whole stream with her. She hosted one of my streams recently.
Yeah, and she was doing an illustration, and it was The Secret Garden, and she was like, "I need a title for this," and then I did the lettering. That was so fun to just be inspired by her illustration and do the lettering for that.
She's an incredible illustrator.
Totally.
Yeah.
And an incredible person too.
Yes. Very, very sweet, very talented.
Yeah.
Fun to be on a stream with, that's for sure.
So this is kind of what I would do. I started with that little guideline and then did my phrase, and then there's a few issues with this. It's a very rough sketch, but tomorrow I can have this a little more finalized, take it into Illustrator, and then we can use this idea and use the type on a path tool, figure out how to use a font on type on a path to say you are the best, and then show you some vector tips for taking this lettering and really making it crisp and make it work in the desktop app.
That sounds awesome. That's great. Yeah, I mean, this was a lot. This is a lot of fun. I guess we're gonna wrap this bad boy up, and we'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 Pacific time with part 2 with Ari Remoundakis.
Same time. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
same time, same place. And thanks for all of your questions and your suggestions. Keep it up for tomorrow because definitely. It helps.
Yeah. Oh no, it makes it so much better. It makes the time pass by. Also stick around. We've got the Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Julia Masalska, and immediately followed by the video editing stream with Josh, I hope I'm saying your last name right, Elufemi. So please stick around, hang out on Adobe Live. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. We'll do part 2 with Ari. Thanks a lot, guys. It's fun having everybody.
See you tomorrow. Thanks,
Bye.
Chris.
crazy.